We are good. All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome everybody who is watching and following along with this edition of the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame's Hall Call interview series. I am Will Driscoll, as always, the Executive Director of the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame, hoping everyone is continuing to stay safe and healthy and doing your part as we slowly and actually starting to pick up, get past this pandemic. As always, I'd like to thank our Hall Call partners and our Hall of Fame partners, City of Virginia Beach, Davcon Inc., Optima Health, Priority Automotive, ESPN Radio 94.1, and our friends at the Hampton Roads Sports Commission. Without all of their support, initiatives like Hall Call and everything else that we have going on would not be possible. Well, one of the constants of the past year has actually been golf. And I know for someone like me who loves a good 9 or 18, it's almost been therapeutic the last year, regardless of score, just to be able to get out, enjoy the weather, enjoy some fellowship in a socially distanced setting, of course. But one of the premier events that comes to Virginia each year is the annual LPGA tournament at the River Course at Kingsmill. It's now named the Pure Silk Championship. 2020 saw the event canceled because of the pandemic, but 2021 brings a new year and the return of professional golf to Williamsburg. And joining us today to talk about the events and a little bit of Kingsmill's place in Virginia golf history is Director of Golf Operations at Kingsmill, James Paige. Now, James joined Kingsmill in 2019. But his prior experience has taken him all over the place into some pretty well-known courses, Quail Hollow, PGA National Resort, and the site of the 2021 Ryder Cup, Whistling Straits. James, appreciate you taking some time out today for us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Excited to be here. I'm excited to talk golf a little bit. Going to be a nice chat. And Kingsmill and Williamsburg has been a great host to us and our family, and we are excited to be here.
Wonderful. We, again, appreciate you taking the time out today. This, as always, with all of these Hall Calls, is on our Facebook Live. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to chime in, and we'll see if we can get them over to James. Well, let's go ahead and kind of start with kind of what the past year has been like for you. You know, give us some insight into the state of golf in Virginia. Golf courses, as I mentioned, have been one of the only things that have been open pretty much the entire time. Have you seen a lot of growth in the game, or has it just kind of been the same people just getting out more and more?
For sure. You know, first off, personally, kind of along your lines, how you started, what a blessing golf has been in my life, and I think many others through the past couple months. You know, if we can't social distance and enjoy golf in this environment, I think there's bigger issues out there to talk about. So, you know, personally speaking, very thankful. It's too bad to read, you know, some operations and processes have not been able to operate. Thankfully, locally, we have been able to. Professionally speaking, if you take a look back and view the entire picture of golf, it's in a great spot. Rounds of golf are up, equipment sales are up, the number of people entering the game has never been higher. So I think going forward, golf is in a great spot. The number of people joining, the number of people playing daily has been fantastic. I would challenge people to not necessarily look at a golf operation and say, man, they are printing money. Because if you slice that pie and start to dig a little bit deeper, there's different types of golf. Leisure golf, country club golf is great, and it's through the roof. The number of people enjoying golf on a daily basis, like I said, never been higher. But then you start to look at travel golf, you know, destination resorts, the number of people traveling and staying in different areas to play golf right now. The past couple months has been a challenge. Corporate golf, you know, before COVID, there were a lot of corporate traveling programs, rewards for staff members, and they would take golf as retreats and company business trips. So that side sector of golf has struggled. And then even digging down into tournament operations and fundraisers. Last year, you know, most of those events are built on the social side, scoring, fundraising, raffles, and most of those struggled or canceled entirely last year. And even as we start to rebound this year a little bit, we've seen groups that before would have 120 people, you know, this year coming with 80, coming with 90, and just the overall feeling that there's still people who don't want to take a part in those large social gathering events. But I think all those lines of golf are picking back up. There were destination resort golf courses across the country that closed down 1 or 2 or 3 courses at a time last year because they weren't able to accommodate the traveling golfer. It's great to see, reading airport traffic pick back up around Williamsburg, just driving down through the community. Hotels look like they're slamming on weekends. Our golf, leisure, corporate, tournament businesses pick back up. And going forward, I think it's going to be through the roof. So certainly excited about the future of golf. And I think if we build the base for the big picture right now, golf is in a pretty good spot.
Well, we've kind of seen, personally, I've kind of seen both sides of that coin, having played, and then obviously the first really 6 to 8 months of the pandemic, you mentioned there might have been people out there, but you had to offer, single carts. So now that's one other person that can't be out there at the same time, or, you run out of carts. And so there are tee times. But then on the flip side, I have a 7-year-old who's really gotten into it over the last year. So it's really good to see the young people getting involved in the game and hopefully continuing to grow it. As far as Kingsmill is concerned, we love Kingsmill. For those who don't know, we have an exhibit that is actually in the River Course Clubhouse right now, and it highlights our 14 golf inductees all the way from Chandler Harper, Lou Worsham, and Sam Snead to Laney Watkins and Curtis Strange. So Kingsmill is a great venue for us, but it's been around since the mid-'70s, and you have people like Arnold Palmer, Pete Dye, Curtis Strange, who've been involved in the development of the 3 courses. If you had to describe it in 1 or 2 words, or just a quick hitter, how would you describe Kingsmill Resort and golf?
It's unique. It's unique in that we have 54 holes of golf, and each golf course has a different background, a different architect, a different style of play. And then as you dive through each golf course, each architect, each style of play, the story even becomes more unique as you dig into the background of Kingsmill and the history with the community and the entire property here and what we can offer. Talking about marinas and river access, tennis, spa, fitness. When you tie everything that Kingsmill has to offer together, it is really a unique package and something that not a whole lot of places across the country can compete with. There are certainly a few and many great places to go. But in terms of having different styles of golf courses, the River Pete Dye Tournament Golf Course, it's just brutally hard. And the Plantation being a little bit more family friendly and fun, short with dog legs and smaller targets. And then our Woods Golf Course, which is a little bit more private, Curtis Strange design, off into the woods with no homes or developments around it. Everything that Kingsmill is built around is kind of a unique experience. And when I think of Kingsmill Golf compared to my past work history, it definitely tells a unique story that not many places have to offer.
Well, and one of those stories is really the 17th hole. I mean, when you're talking about signature holes, the 17th has actually been termed the most historic 177 yards of golf in America. For those that haven't had the chance to play that hole or get out to the course, describe the 17th and its geographic significance.
For sure. And that part of history definitely ties into the overall picture of Kingsmill. And to me, the 17th hole starts as you drive up the 16th fairway. As you drive up the 16th fairway, you see the James River in the background, framed by the tee box in the green of number 17 in the distance. So you kind of get a little visual head start of the challenge that's about to come. But you come up the hill behind 16 green, and there's some placards from Kingsmill and an old cannon telling you about the significance of that point in history. As the English settlers came over, that point in the James River was actually a landing dock for them. So as you stand on the 17th tee and look out to the right to the James River, there's actually remnants of an old landing dock still visible today of where the first settlers came in and made this place their home. So standing on the tee and understanding that history and that, people have used the property to kind of build up our colonies and start what is today's America, 350 years ago now. It's pretty cool to see the significance and understand really how special the piece of property is. And then you got to hit a 180-yard shot over the ravine to a tight green with the river on the right and out of bounds left. So after you kind of realize the significance historically, it's fun, challenging as well.
Definitely lends credence to the moniker America's Historic Triangle in the Jamestown, Yorktown, Williamsburg area.
For sure.
I remember playing the 17th once. This was probably about a decade ago, but to give you an idea of how vast the landscape is on the right out on the James River, it was a cold day in February and it snowed, and we could see where the snowstorm began and where it ended. And we teed off as it started to snow. By the time we got to the green was covered, so we had to just go straight into the hole, straight into the clubhouse. But
that sounds too cold for me.
Yeah, a little bit too cold. That's right. I prefer 75 and above. But one of the things that has always been unique and a sense of pride for Virginians is the fact that Kingsmill has had this relationship with the professional tours now for over 4 decades. First with the PGA and now the LPGA. How important is it for the course, for the area, to have the Pure Silk Championship back this year after a COVID hiatus last year?
Yeah, I really think it starts with the community. Talking about the community of Kingsmill, Williamsburg itself, the tourist numbers that it attracts, the ticket sales, the TV marketing and promotion. Just what a cool event to get all eyes on our community with some of the best professional golfers that are out there. And then talking about how historically important it's been. As you pull up to Kingsmill Golf Operation and the resort and our bag drop, there's a list of winners going all the way back to the first events in the 70s, and just seeing the types of golfers that have played here and what a win has meant to their career and how popular they've become. It really does put a lot of eyes on Kingsmill, the community, Williamsburg, and their golf courses. And it's just so incredibly cool to be able to market that history, to show it off in our golf lobby. It truly is kind of hard to describe and put in words when you have 32, 33 straight years now of professional golf events, how it truly impacts your operation. One of my favorite parts of this job is just kind of meandering around a little bit in the locker room, in the golf shop, in the bar. And it's incredible to me how many stories I just interact with people saying that they used to come here as a child and watch their favorite golfers, or they remember watching it on TV with their dad. Going back, 2 generations now of family memories and people traveling specifically to watch the best golfers in the world compete on a course that, many people in the community have access to. So it's incredibly cool. And we're lucky to be able to say that we can do it.
You mentioned some of the names. Obviously, I mentioned Lanny. Lanny won it. Lanny Watkins won the tournament one time. David Duval, Fuzzy Zeller, and then when it shifted to the LPGA, Annika Sorenstam, Christy Kerr. I mean, these are some of the legendary names, and some Hall of Famers have graced the course before. So there's definitely a lot of history there. This year is going to be different, and I think we all as sports fans understand that we're still probably a little bit ways away from things getting back to the way we remember it. But you are allowing some spectators, but tickets to the general public are not on sale. But you are going to have around 3,000 spectators through family members, friends of the players, and members and sponsors. Just how exciting is it that you're going to be able to have this tournament with people on the course?
It's incredibly exciting. It's, for us in the community to go from having to cancel it. Last year when we got canceled, we were about 50 days out. So we had started the build, we had started the operations team, all of our contracts were in place. And then to kind of wipe that out and go through a summer of limited travel. To us internally, our team is talking about that's kind of our light at the end of the tunnel. To be able to host this event, our vendors are on board, which is very exciting. We're going to have some limited stuff around the golf course, but still enough to have a nice presence. It really does kind of signify to our team that it's coming back. People are gathering, and we've been working with the government's office on mandates for people allowed to gather and be in certain areas of the golf course. We're going to take all the requirements necessary. and given to us. For instance, like the LPGA, for those being on site, you do have to wear a mask around the golf course the entire time. But just being able to offer our sponsorship partners and the LPGA players and their tournament staff and their membership the opportunity in a limited capacity to come and enjoy the event in person. We're hosting a concert, a kickoff concert Saturday night as kind of a welcome back kickoff party. It's exciting. It's very exciting, and we are thrilled to be able to get people on the golf course and watching the best players do their thing around there.
Well, I don't have to tell anybody who lives in southeastern Virginia, but it's been a pretty wet winter leading into spring. So what sort of shape is the course in right now?
You know, the wet winter has been a little bit of a blessing, so to speak. In regards to the wet winter, we've got about 6.5 more inches of rainfall than normal year to date. We've been able to stay ahead of that. Usually for the tournament, our agronomy team grows the rough out to 2 inches. This 2-inch Bermuda rough can get pretty thick and gnarly and super hard to play out of. By staying ahead of the weather and not allowing that grass to get super thick, we're actually keeping it now at 1.2 inches, which helps the playability of the golf course. You know, daily play, resort play, member play has more fun being able to find their golf ball in the rough and not being able to chop it out and chip out sideways. So the plan for this year's event is to keep the rough a little bit shorter. It's going to make it a little bit more playable, a little bit less penal off the fairways. Expect to see some lower scores. And then we are currently 10 days into a 17-day bunker sand project. We're dredging out the bottom of our bunkers, largely due to the number of inches of rain the past couple of months. Dredging out the bottom of the bunkers, resurfacing them, and putting in brand new sand with 2 more additional inches of sand in each bunker. So right now that bunker sand is a little bit lighter and fluffier. So I expect the rough to be a little bit less penal, but I expect the bunkers to be a little bit more penal for those who find their way into the bunkers with the more sand and the softness of them compared to years past. So looking historically, scores have been anywhere between 12 to 15 under par the past couple of years for LPGA. I wouldn't be surprised to see him push 20 this year with the limited rough. And hopefully it starts to dry out so the fairways can run a little bit. And based on the long-term forecast, I think we're going to get there.
Well, fans love low scores. I mean, outside of a U.S. Open tournament where we know what we're going to get, fans love birdies. We love eagles. We love seeing those low scores posted.
Absolutely. I do too. It's fun to see how good they truly are. And I think allowing them to shoot lower scores really brings out their talent than kind of some of the U.S. Open style of golf. So I think it's going to be exciting for sure.
Well, we know there will be some good players out there. I was actually looking at the LPGA calendar, and it's kind of a strategic placement for the tournament this year between the end of the LPGA's kind of Asian leg where they go over to Singapore and Southeast Asia, but then 2 weeks prior to the U.S. Open. And since a lot of players don't typically play that week prior to the U.S. Open, what kind of field can we expect at Kingsmill?
I think first, if you just look at the LPGA as a whole, kudos to their team for what they've done the past couple of years. It seems like the majority of their qualified golfers play in almost every single event through the year. You know, if you look at just using PGA Tour, some of the best golfers on their tour play 17, 18 events a year. And the best LPGA golfers play 28 to 30. So I think it's great what they've done with their scheduling and their players taking on more responsibility and playing in more events, which I think is awesome to see. The field at Kingsmill has always been great. It's always been very strong. The girls like the test of the Pete Dye design and the tournament atmosphere that we put on. And a lot of it use it as prep for the upcoming U.S. Open. So I expect a great field. The LPGA officially will announce our field on Friday, May 7th. So we'll have about a 2-week notice before kickoff based on their guidelines this year of when we can fully expect the best players in the world to commit. But it's also very interesting, and kudos to the LPGA. this year, after us, the week before the U.S. Open, is a new event in Las Vegas, a match play event. So that's going to be cool to see a new style of tournament for them and to see how the players react. And again, another week before U.S. Open. I think 3 weeks in a row is going to be a great schedule, and I would expect most of the big names to be here.
That's definitely a great lineup. And the good thing too, again, looking at the schedule, is even though fans can't be there in attendance, all 4 days will be on the Golf Channel. So lots of good publicity for the course, and people will be able to physically see the tournament go on.
For sure. And one of our, blessings in the schedule this year is in past operations, the Pure Silk had not always been live. Sometimes it had been on tape delay at the end of the nights. This year, all 4 days of coverage, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, live action on Golf Channel from 3 to 6. So we're very excited about that, to be able to get live coverage for all 4 days.
Well, I think that's a testament too to the historic significance of the tournament. We can kind of go through that a little bit, where for years it was sponsored by Anheuser-Busch, first on the PGA Tour, and then the LPGA Tour, and then Anheuser-Busch through numerous events decided to just kind of step back from a lot of their holdings. Busch Gardens being one of them, Kingsmill being one of them, and there was a pause in 2010 and 11, but the tournament did come back in 2012. And how important has it been to maintain this presence on one of the professional tours for as long as Kingsmill has?
It's been super important. Just the ability to say that our golf courses challenge the best golfers in the world. And then there's also the component that the footprint allows us to do that. And by footprint, I mean rooms, parking, vendors, food and beverage, media, dining. There's a lot of great golf courses that certainly can host events, but some of them lose out on kind of the other half of the operational side. And that big operational side, the back end, allows us to do many, many creative things. So it's great to be able to keep the players here on property, to keep the media here on property. A lot of our concessions, food and beverage, are done in-house. So just tying in the overall picture of what it takes to run the tournament, not necessarily the golf course, it shows that we can do a lot of things right. And to be able to do that for 33 years now, I think really speaks to the team, and it also speaks to the community of being able to offer that.
What sort of economic impact does this tournament bring to Williamsburg? I mean, it's been going on now for over 4 decades. So
yeah.
if you weren't doing something right, you probably would have taken it away.
So starting in 2010 through 2019, the average measurable economic impact, ticket sales, hospitality, room nights, food and beverage, vendor contracts, has been $10.5 million per year on average for the last 10 years. And that's a direct economic impact. It creates jobs, it creates hotel rooms, it creates vendors, programming, which is a great number to see. And then there's also the indirect economic impact. Over that same time frame, the indirect economic impact that we receive, Kingsmill, Pure Silk, LPGA, over media, TV, social media, has averaged $8.5 million in streamed media evaluation over that same time frame. So, that 8.5 million could be additional room bookings. People, as I said, walking through the locker room in the dining room, about hearing people come into Kingsmill. That side is a little bit harder to measure. But over that week, we get $8.5 million in media presence, which over the course of the year, I think is tough to measure, but it certainly brings in a lot of people to the community.
Well, I think what's exciting about that is our last hall call was with Dennis Bickmeyer, who's the president of Richmond Raceway, and just hearing these events come back and hearing not just the fact that you can get sports fans engaged again, but what they do for the communities and how that all begins to trickle down, I think is really the most exciting part about sports returning, because it takes a lot to get these things moving, and it takes a lot to put these things on properly. So that's definitely a very exciting component to this.
Yeah, I think people would be pleasantly surprised if they knew how much and how many operations and how many people it takes to put on an event like this for 7 days. The amount of people we work with in the community, we have contracts out all over for tournament build, for food and beverage, for printing. And then you talk about the hotel operation side. It really does affect a lot of people, and we're thrilled to be able to help the community and hopefully see it continue to grow.
Well, here in Virginia, we do have, especially in our corner down here in southeastern Virginia, we do have the ability for year-round golf, but we don't quite get the fanfare that, say, California, Florida, Texas, the southern portion of the country does. But what makes Virginia golf something that is unique and that can be marketed to locals and tourists alike?
For sure. I think the first measured thing that makes Virginia golf special is the different types of golf within the year. So we have 4 distinct seasons. You can choose to play golf in the heat of summer. Man, is fall beautiful with all the changing colors and just the visuals of what fall brings to this area. Winter, you can find some great discounts on golf. You can play some of the best golf in the world as it gets a little bit chillier, but you're still able to play and have a great time. And if you go rate hunting, you can do pretty well and find. And then spring, as the grass starts to green up and grow again, is a great time to get out and get ready for summer. So to me, Virginia stands out in that we have 4 distinct different styles of golf through the year. And you can shop and you can play and you can really do some creative things on your golf timeline to experience different types of golf. And if you come to the river course in May, July, October, and February, you're going to have 4 distinct different opinions and challenges of the golf course and how it plays throughout the year. So I think that's a very cool aspect that isn't found in a lot of other markets. The ability to have 4 different types of golf experiences throughout the year. And then personally, being here, 2 years now with my wife and my family, the hospitality in this area is just spectacular. I think what really sets operations apart is how you're treated and how you interact with the staff and how your service was. And Kingsmill takes a lot of great pride in having conversations with each guest that comes through the door and trying to be as personal as possible. You can get a lot of great golf experiences at different golf courses, but I think interacting with different types of people who have different types of background and trying to make it a home for your time here, I think is really a benefit of Kingsmill and what we've tried to do. So the hospitality in the area really makes it special for me as well.
Well, I'll have to clear my schedule to get those 4 different styles of golf just to make sure I can be challenged by every single one of them.
Absolutely.
As I mentioned kind of at the beginning, one of the courses that you worked at previously was Whistling Straits, and that's where the Ryder Cup is this year, obviously scheduled for 2020, but now it's this year.
Yeah.
Tough course. I mean, I've never been up there, but just watching it on TV, it definitely looks like a challenge. What can some of those players expect from the Ryder Cup this year? I have to ask you because I have you here.
For sure. Working for Kohler and the Kohler family in Whistling Straits was unbelievable. What a great group of people. Super excited to see the Ryder Cup there this year. And it's really interesting, just as a little background nugget, Pete Dye designs a lot of his tournament golf courses the same way. So for instance, number 1 on Pete Dye golf course, tournament golf courses are generally a pretty easy par 4. Number 1 of the river, number 1 of the Straits, number 1 at TPC Sawgrass are all pretty straightforward par 4s. And then you go around the golf course, 8 is generally a very tough par 4 to finish in the 9. 17, he tries to make a memorable par 3. 17 at the river, 17 Sawgrass, and then 17 at Whistling Straits, I think is going to make and break a lot of people in that event. A 220-yard shot over Lake Michigan there with sand dunes everywhere you look. So it is kind of cool to contrast the Pete Dye golf course experience. His layouts and his designs are very similar as you take them to different parts of the country, which is cool.
That's an interesting little nugget to hear from somebody who's kind of on the inside, to hear how
Yeah.
Pete Dye has designed his courses. And if you play them regularly, you'll probably see a lot of the same things.
Yeah, you do. And especially as tournament golf courses. And I didn't actually learn about that until I came to Kingsmill. And then I was working with Mr. Dye's son, PB, just on a couple anniversary projects and some of his insights and what he had worked on. Was a great background, and he was very familiar and worked with Kohler, and he shared a lot of his design philosophies, and just kind of sharing that nugget was pretty interesting. So very cool. So yeah, the Ryder Cup at Whistling Straits, American golf is in a great spot. It's so cool to see the number of golfers challenging for the automatic bids. I think that they're going to be very strong. I hope the weather there the last week of September is conducive to some fun golf. Hopefully it doesn't get too cold, but just being able to see that event take place, it sounds like they're going to have crowds, which is super exciting to hear, the cheers of the Ryder Cup. If you compare that with Augusta, I think that's a golf fan, two favorite things that they can do. So for anyone who hasn't seen a Ryder Cup, I know it's a lot with only 12 golfers on the golf course, but it should certainly be on the checklist for you.
Well, I mean, we hope that the U.S. can bring it back. I think you're right. And seeing a lot of the young players that are coming up, it's definitely an exciting time, and it should be a fun course. And who knows, maybe Lake Michigan might have a few tricks up the sleeves. Only during the European putts, though. That's right. What we're looking for. I'll get you out of here on this, and it's one more question about Whistling Straits. Just kind of going back through its history, it's a fairly new course, but Dustin Johnson and the 2010 PGA with the waist bunker, or an actual waist area versus bunker, right, where he mistakenly grounded his club. Has that been, I guess, remedied, or is that still kind of a unique quirk to that course?
I think it's a unique quirk to that course, and it's going to be interesting this year at Kiowa, Pete Dye Golf Course, the Ocean Course at Kiowa. And again, going through Pete Dye's philosophies, number one at Kiowa is a very benign par 4. 17 is the most memorable par 3 on the golf course, and 18 is the hardest par 4 on the golf course. So us to Kiowa Island Ocean, again, a lot of similarities, but they actually play all their bunkers as waste, meaning that you can ground the club, and Dustin Johnson would not have gotten in that same situation. Whereas Kohler, Whistling Straits, they play all their bunkers as hazards, meaning you can't touch the ground or affect the golf ball at all. So it's interesting to see the dynamic of different golf courses in the areas of the country that they're in. The Kiowa sand, I think, is a little bit more natural to the area compared to Whistling, that's a little bit more brought in. And maybe that's why there's some of the distinction there. But it really is on the PGA of America and their operating committee on how they make those rules. And it's very interesting you bring that up, and noting specifically the PGA at Kiowa this year. I believe they're going to play everything as waste, meaning that they would be able to ground their club, and that infraction would not have happened.
Definitely, again, a unique ruling that I don't know if the everyday golfer understands, but if you get the chance, check out the 72nd hole of the 2010 PGA. That's how close Dustin Johnson was to winning his first major at the time. But all that being said, James, we appreciate you taking the time out today. Love talking golf. Love talking about events here in Virginia that bring a lot of pride to Virginians, not just here in Hampton Roads, but throughout the state. And we're looking forward to following the competition next month up at Kingsmill.
Yep, it's coming up quick. The tournament starts inside just about 28 days now. So we're excited. We are moving. Hopefully we're able to get a few more people out here, but if not, I know they're going to be welcome back in the following years. Thank you for your time and having me and be able to share our stories. And I certainly appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. And as James just mentioned, less than a month away until the first round tees off. And of course, if you can't be there, you can also watch it on Golf Channel every day, 3 to 6, May 20th through the 23rd. I'd like to thank everyone who did tune in and who will watch this video. It will be archived. And as always, thanks to our partners, City of Virginia Beach, Priority Automotive, Davcon Inc., Optima Health, ESPN Radio, and our friends at the Hampton Roads Sports Commission. Be sure to follow the Hall of Fame on all of our platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at VA Sports HOF. Once again, I'm Will Driscoll with the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame, and whatever you do, participate, don't spectate.